Happening now, Toronto police are updating their investigation into a fatal assault against a cyclist in the West End. Let's listen in live.
At approximately 9:05 a.m. this morning, in the area of Ronsonvales Avenue and Bousted Avenue, officers attended to a male who was in his 60s. The male was found to be unconscious and was transported to a local hospital via emergency run. Unfortunately, a short time later, the male had succumbed to his injuries. We believe that the male had interaction with a second male, and at that time, there was some kind of an altercation that we believe happened, which resulted in the male going unconscious. We're asking for the public's help in identifying this male. His description is as follows. He's a male white, 5'10", medium to slim build, riding a standard black mountain bike. Anybody who has any information, any witnesses, or dash cam video or porch video, please contact us at 416-808-1100, that's 11 Division, or Crime Stoppers at 416-222-TIPS, in which way you can remain anonymous. There's very little more that I can share with you at this time, as this is an active investigation. We do believe that at this point it may or may not have been targeted. We're unsure exactly of the circumstances which led to this altercation, but we are asking for help.
Inspector, you mentioned that the victim was found unconscious. That doesn't just happen. So how did the victim become that way? How did that happen? It
is very early in the investigation, but what I will say is that there appears to have been some kind of an altercation, and I'm going to have to leave it at that for now.
Initial reports where there was objects being thrown at this individual on his bike. Is that still what police believe at this point in your investigation?
We have not confirmed that at this time.
Can you confirm whether the victim was a cyclist, was on a bike at any point?
We do not believe at this point that the person was on a bike. The victim was on a bike. Okay.
So when you talk about altercation, clearly it was physical for someone to be rendered unconscious, for CPR having to be performed, and for someone to die in hospital, correct?
The CPR was not performed right away. That was a short time later. As I said, the victim was transported to the hospital via emergency run in order to try to save his life. So as far as an altercation goes, that's not something that I can get into right now. I'll just leave it at altercation.
Did this individual, the victim, I should say, this man in his 60s, did he have signs of trauma on his body?
As again, I said, I'm not going to get into the trauma. I'm not going to get into what kind of altercation it is. It's an investigation that's ongoing. We're still trying to determine exactly what happened. We're not certain ourselves what happened, and we're really asking for the public's help, especially if they have any video or witnesses.
There's a mosque that's located in the area. Is there any possible connection to this incident and possibly in this area too?
No, there's no indication whatsoever that there's anything to do with the mosque.
Can you talk about the actual investigation, who is leading it?
At this point, it is an 11 Division investigation. We do have homicide investigators who are assisting with the investigation at this point, but it has not been deemed a homicide. At this point, we are considering this a suspicious death until we can get more information and work through all the details.
Inspector, I understand there was kind of a 2-in-1 call here. There were multiple calls made about an individual who was throwing objects. Can you speak to what were the calls into 911? What were witnesses reporting?
So we did not have multiple calls with respect to people throwing objects. We did have a call for a male who was unconscious, and at least one call previously with a suspicious male in the area.
I imagine police are pretty anxious to find this person before anyone else gets hurt in the city. When you talk about this may or may not be targeted, can you expand on that? What do you mean by that?
So at this point, as I said, we're still trying to go through, especially video, and we're trying to canvass and try to get as much information as we possibly can in order to put all the details together. So I will not confirm whether or not it's targeted, but I can't say it was not, that it wasn't random either. So we're still very early in the investigation, and that's why we're asking for the public's help on this, is try to figure all this out. If the public or anyone has seen a person who's riding a bicycle acting suspiciously, please call 11 Division as soon as possible.
What does that mean, acting suspiciously? What should people be looking out for in this area?
Well, I think if they're doing anything other than riding a bicycle normally, I would say that could be interpreted as suspicious, right?
Did the altercation happen here, or is there any other location that's of interest to police in this investigation?
Right now, as I said, we're still early in the investigation. We're concentrating on this area. Okay.
You said earlier somebody also had previously called about a suspicious person.
Yes.
Can you say the time frame when roughly that was?
No, I can't.
Just so I'm clear, did someone call 911 because they saw someone lying on the ground unconscious? Is that how investigators need to come to this area?
Again, I'm going to say we will not be releasing any information with respect to that at this point. What I will say is that a call was made for an unconscious male, and the male was transported to the hospital. I'm going to take one more question.
Has next of kin been notified yet?
I'm not going to answer that at this point. It's still too early in the investigation. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Toronto police updating their investigation there into a fatal assault against a cyclist in the city's West End. A cyclist in his 60s is dead after an altercation, we're learning, with another cyclist. Police saying the victim was found unconscious near Roncesvalles and Dundas West. This was around 9 o'clock this morning. Police believe that man got into an altercation with another male cyclist before the assault. They had originally said the man was struck by an object. Now they're saying they're trying to piece all of this together, and it's still very early on in the investigation, and they're not sure. Police also say this may or may not be a targeted attack, and they are releasing a suspect description as they look for this person behind this attack. They say he's a white man in his 40s, has dark hair, was last seen wearing black jacket and black pants, and they also say he was riding a standard black mountain bike. The message to the public at this point, as the search for the suspect continues: if you see a man riding a similar bike acting suspiciously, come forward, contact 11 Division.